Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare on PlayStation 1. To quote musician Peter Steele, everything dies. I don't say that flippantly. One of the pillars that horror stands upon is death, mayhem, and murder. This is especially true of the tales of author and controversial icon H.P. Lovecraft, whose works, in part, our discussion for today are based upon. Madness and death run rampant by the end of his tales, and so is the case with the Alone in the Dark franchise. Alone in the Dark is an odd duck of a horror series. The first game arrived in 1992, came out on PC only, and took place in a 1920s-era plantation where the main character, supernatural detective Edward Carnby, Polygon blobbed his way around the estate solving puzzles and avoiding automatic death traps, with occasionally picking up a weapon to defeat only one entity or ghoul at a time. Not scary by modern standards, but more of a puzzle exploration game with a few frights. In the sequel, which did eventually get a console port, Carnby fights pirates and gangsters possessed by evil spirits, and in the third game, which was never brought to console, Carnby fights zombie outlaws in an old western town where a movie is being filmed. These games are considered survival horror, but fit more into the kind of action exploration trope similar to games like King's Quest or Space Quest. While the Lovecraft influences are on display, they are not enough to really salvage the games from being products of their time. This all changes with the 2001 release of Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, which is canonically number 4 in the series. By this point, developer Darkworks and longtime series publisher Infogrames had learned from the successes of Resident Evil and Silent Hill and made drastic changes. This time, we are set in the modern day, meaning 2001, and this Edward Carnby is the descendant of the detective from the previous 3 games, and himself a supernatural detective following in the family business. Carnby is contacted to a mysterious island just off the shores of Boston, Massachusetts, to find out how his detective partner had been killed, and if the elusive Morton family, the island's residents, are involved. He is joined by an archaeology grad student named Aileen, who may or may not be the love child of one of the Morton brothers. A storm erupts as they fly to the island, their plane is attacked and sent into free fall, and the 2 main characters parachute away from the doomed plane. Carnby lands in a nearby swamp, and Aileen on the mansion roof, thus setting up separate paths and separate protagonists. You may choose to be either Carnby or Aileen, and explore the grounds of the multitude of changes. While both characters spend most of their time in the sprawling mansion covering many of the same rooms, there are great differences in critical paths. Carnby fights a variety of bosses across the game, but Aileen only has one boss, a nemesis-like monstrosity that chases her throughout the mansion, as well as the astrolabe and fort found upon the island. Carnby learns that the island is actually a focus for evil in the world, and descends below the surface of the island, where there is a portal to the realm of darkness from which the creatures that haunt the island come. Both characters recover different critical items needed to complete the game, and keep in communication at points through walkie-talkies. The bit I found most interesting is that the weapons found throughout the game for the characters to defend themselves with are modifications of items that focus or emit light. A modified flare gun, pistols and shotguns loaded with specialized phosphorus or magnesium bullets, or a rudimentary laser that uses battery packs. Long before Alan Wake, The New Nightmare was using light to destroy foes. This game also does a few good hallucination jump scares, alluding to the madness that is part of the condition brought by the island's evil. I won't spoil all the twists and turns, even if the observant player can see them coming, but they are well scripted, and the line delivery for the characters is mostly good. I will say that there is a Native American NPC that the characters interact with and who works for the Morton clan that is supposed to be the last of his lineage, charged with protecting the island and aiding the heroes. I don't believe the character was meant to be used disrespectfully or as a trope, but I am providing a warning for players who want to check the game out and may be wary of such a representation. While it is obviously a Resident Evil clone, The New Nightmare is well done for the PlayStation era games and adds a lot to the survival horror genre, with enough fresh takes to separate it from the pack. It may also be one of the more Lovecraft done right games out there, even among games with direct links to the works of the author, such as Call of Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth or 2018's Call of Cthulhu game. The New Nightmare is likely also the most successful of the series, either in the games before it or the games that came after it. Enough that it caught the attention of celluloid schlockmeister Uwe Boll, who filmed a movie that very loosely based on the property. So, success, I guess? This iteration of Alone in the Dark certainly lives up to its name, and I consider this game to be a worthy second son among the survival horror family of titles. While its lineage and roots are sometimes shallow and meandering, this darkly deformed tree deserved more nurturing and care than the brutal pruning it received in the games that followed. Alone in the Dark was once a mighty pillar of the horror genre, but it now sits as abandoned and haunted as the mansions that it features. Peter was right. Everything dies, even video game franchises, when no one has any use for them anymore. Thank you for listening.